While he was still carrying coffee in 2 mugs, she was already sipping hers in another city, with someone else. But the real pain didn't begin with the betrayal. It began with her words. Being with you means settling. This isn't revenge. It's not punishment. It's not about her. It's about him, the man who stood in the silence and began piecing himself back together. Because not every ending is a fall. Sometimes, it's a beginning. Greetings, my dear viewer. Please tell me which city and country you're watching this video from. Maybe you're watching me from a small town or a gigantic metropolis. Write about it. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends. It will make me very happy. Let's get started. I used to think that marriages didn't unravel all at once. That if you were really paying attention, you'd catch the early warning signs. But I've come to realize that's not always how it works. Some fractures happen silently, like a hidden pipe leaking behind the wall. By the time you notice the drip, the damage is already deep and widespread. My name is Adam. I'm 35 years old and work in IT. It's not glamorous. I manage technical issues, lead a team, and troubleshoot systems. That practical, composed approach filtered into my personal life too. Steady, predictable, drama-free. My wife, Camilla, was in marketing. Ambitious, quick-witted, always a little restless. But somehow, we balanced each other. We had been together for 12 years, married for 7. Early on, arguments were rare. Then, last winter, things began to shift. Camilla hit a low point. She often complained about her job, how invisible she felt, like she didn't matter at all. One night, I walked in to find her curled up on the sofa, clutching takeout and a glass of wine, her eyes swollen and mascara smudged. She looked at me and whispered, "I don't even know who I am anymore." I suggested she take a step back, maybe quit, or take a break, find something that made her feel whole again. "You used to love running," I reminded her. "Or maybe try a gym? Just something to shake the routine." Her expression went blank. "So, you think I'm out of shape?" "No," I said softly. "I think you've lost your spark, and I want you to feel good again." She studied me for a second, then gave a small nod. "Okay." The following week, we both joined a trendy new gym downtown. For the first few weeks, we went together. It was actually enjoyable. We shared jokes on the treadmill, fumbled through unfamiliar machines, laughed at how sore we were afterward. Camilla began to lighten up, smiling more, sleeping better. I started to hope this was a turning point for us. But something shifted. Her focus sharpened. She began staying later after our sessions, tacking on extra cardio, trying out classes I didn't have time for. That's when she met Bianca, a high-intensity trainer known for her brutal boot camps. Camilla was instantly drawn in. At first, I thought it was positive. She seemed energized again, but subtle changes began to surface. She stopped waiting for me to finish my workouts. She spent more time glued to her phone between sets. The closeness between us quietly faded, and I didn't even realize it until it was already happening. By the time spring arrived, Camilla had fully immersed herself in that world. She became one of the regulars, chatting with the staff at the smoothie bar, signing up for extra classes, joining group outings. She'd come home buzzing with stories filled with unfamiliar names. Jade had me cracking up. Logan was hilarious today. Bianca thinks I should try the evening boot camp. It was like she had been adopted into a whole new social circle, one I had no part in. Our rhythms fell out of sync. She'd leave before I got up, or come home hours after I'd stopped waiting. Eventually, I stopped going to the gym altogether. There didn't seem much point showing up solo at 9 p.m. She'd return full of energy, animated by the latest group challenge or hangout. I was happy she seemed healthier, but I couldn't ignore how much she'd drifted from me. One night over dinner, I said, "You're barely around lately." Without even glancing up from her phone, she answered, "I'm just keeping busy. You're the one who told me to find something for myself, remember?" "I did," I said, "but we don't even share meals anymore." Still staring at her screen, she said, "I'm not doing anything wrong, Adam. I'm just trying to feel good about myself again. I didn't push. I let it slide. But the way she said it, I'm not doing anything wrong, it felt deliberate, like a line she'd practiced. A few nights later, I came across a photo on Camilla's Instagram. She was at a rooftop bar with a few of her gym friends, cocktails in hand. I hadn't heard a word about it. She never mentioned skipping dinner that night. That evening, I brought it up. Looks like you had a good time. She paused, then smiled like it was nothing. Oh, Bianca's birthday. Totally forgot to mention it. Did she really forget, or just choose not to say anything? Her smile faded. Are we seriously going to fight over something I posted online? You're spying on my social media now? I'm just trying to understand what's changed, I said. There's nothing going on, she snapped, getting up from the table. Stop turning this into something it isn't. But something was going on. I just didn't know what yet. By June, it was clear. We weren't really having conversations anymore. Nothing meaningful, nothing real, just bare minimum coordination. Don't wait up. Did you eat yet? Can you swing by and grab the dry cleaning? That's what our conversations had been reduced to, just logistics and to-do lists. One Friday, she came home just before midnight. I was half asleep on the couch, the television murmuring in the background. Long night? I asked, straightening up. She kicked off her heels and replied, Got food after class. Lost track of time. With who? She let out a breath and headed toward the bedroom. Adam, if you're insinuating that I'm cheating, I'm not. I hadn't mentioned cheating. I followed her down the hall. Why would you jump to that unless... Because you've been acting suspicious for weeks, she snapped, pulling off her earrings, watching me like I've done something wrong. I can't even breathe in this house without it feeling like an interrogation. I'm trying to understand what's different lately. Maybe I'm different, she said. Is that such a terrible thing? That night, I slept on the couch. A few days later, a text came in from my friend Travis. Hey, saw Camilla at West Loop Bar. She was with a guy. Didn't seem like just friends. Thought you'd want to know. I stared at the message for 5 minutes before replying. Are you sure it was her? Absolutely. She had on that green dress from your anniversary pics. I didn't confront her that night. I just watched her go about her evening like nothing was wrong. But something inside me shifted. I stopped assuming the best. The next morning, while she was in the shower, her phone lit up on the bathroom counter. A message from someone named Jordan. Last night was worth it. Worth what? I didn't open it. I just stood there, staring like it might explode. Then I put it down before I did something I'd regret. That evening, I looked her straight in the eye. Camilla, is there someone else? She didn't flinch. Do you actually want the truth? I do. She stayed quiet at first, but that silence said more than words could. Eventually, she sat across from me at the kitchen table. She was still in her workout gear, hair pulled back, no makeup. She looked exhausted, either from guilt or the effort of pretending. His name is Jordan, she said softly. We met at the gym, started chatting after a few classes. I didn't reply. I let her continue. It wasn't planned. I wasn't out looking, she added. That's what people say when they don't want to take responsibility, I said. Her expression hardened. I'm not proud of it, Adam, but I felt stuck. You were always calm, composed, routine. I needed something more, something that reminded me I was alive. So, sneaking around with some guy at the gym gave you that? She winced. Don't act like it's all on me. You emotionally checked out ages ago. That one cut deep. I leaned in. Checked out? I was the one asking questions, trying to connect. You were the one who kept pulling away. Her arms folded tightly. Because being around you made me feel small, like I was constantly disappointing you just by being who I am. You lied to me, I said quietly. Her voice wavered. I didn't know how to talk to you anymore. Every time I tried, you looked at me like I was wrecking something sacred. You were, I said. She turned away for a moment, then looked back and said something I'll never forget. I've changed, Adam. I've worked on myself. For the first time, I feel confident after years of feeling inadequate. And now, being with you feels like settling. That hurt more than anything she could have confessed. Not just because she said it, but because I knew she meant it. Silence filled the kitchen. Only the soft hum of the fridge broke the stillness. I think I need some space, she whispered. I nodded. You've already been taking it. Might as well make it official. 3 days later, she was gone. Took her yoga gear, her smoothie blender, and half the kitchen drawers. She left a note on the counter. It wasn't some long letter, just a short, handwritten note. Maybe one day you'll understand. I never meant to hurt you. When she left, her wedding band wasn't on her hand. She'd quietly placed it in the bathroom drawer. For an entire week, I said nothing. Not to my parents, not to my co-workers, not even to Travis. I stuck to my routine, clocked in at work, returned each night to an apartment that felt hollow, and sat in silence with the words she'd left behind. Being with you feels like settling. That line played on an endless loop in my mind. I never tried to change her mind, never begged her to stay. What could I possibly say to someone who had already decided I wasn't worth staying for? Eventually, glimpses of her began to surface online. We had unfollowed each other, but friends kept tagging her. There she was, on rooftops, smiling at brunch tables, trekking through hiking trails, wearing bolder outfits, radiating confidence she never used to display. Always surrounded by unfamiliar faces. And Jordan, he was in many of those photos, standing beside her, wearing that relaxed smile like he'd always belonged there. I didn't react, no likes, no comments, no messages. Just quiet watching from a distance I never asked for. I wasn't even sure what I felt. Anger flared up, then dimmed. Regret came and went like a tide. But it was the silence that cut the deepest, waking up and still pouring 2 coffees out of habit. Eating in silence. Wandering grocery aisles only to put back items she used to love. One morning I forced myself into a gym, not the polished one she liked with yoga mats and juice bars, just a no-frills spot near work. Basic equipment. No influencers, just sweat and iron, and it helped. I started showing up 3 times a week, then 4, not to impress anyone, not for some revenge glow-up. I just needed to reclaim control over something. A week later, I met with a lawyer and began filing for divorce. Work picked up. I stayed late, took on extra projects. My boss noticed. Even one of the new hires, Jillian, asked if I wanted to grab coffee after a team meeting. I turned her down. Not because I wasn't curious, but because I wasn't ready. I wasn't looking to fill a void. I was looking for peace. Then one evening, out of nowhere, Camilla sent me an email. Just 2 lines. Hey, hope you're doing okay. I stared at it for a long moment, then closed the browser and went back to my work. A few months passed. The divorce became official. Papers were signed. That chapter closed. I thought that would be the end of it. But then, on a quiet Sunday, she reappeared. I'd just finished a run, shirt damp with sweat, headphones slung around my neck. And there she was, standing outside my building, holding a takeaway coffee, dressed casually in denim, like nothing had happened. Hey, she said, like we'd just spoken yesterday. I stayed put. Why are you here? I was nearby, she answered. Thought maybe we could talk. I didn't respond. I've been thinking, she added, a lot, about us. I stepped aside. She walked in slowly, her eyes scanning the apartment like she was searching for traces of herself. But it had changed. New plants, furniture rearranged, a freshly painted kitchen wall. It finally felt like my space. She sat on the edge of the couch. I like what you've done, she said with a faint smile. I said nothing. She looked down. Jordan and we didn't work out. I stayed where I was. I made a mistake, Adam, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I see that now. You made more than one, I replied. I know, she said quickly. I thought I needed something exciting, something different. But it was all surface, noise and strangers who didn't care. I got swept up in it. I studied her face, not with bitterness, just quiet disbelief. You were stable, she said, kind, safe. I miss that. I miss you. I'm not some backup plan, I said evenly. That's not what this is, she insisted. I know I hurt you. I walked away from something real. But maybe we could just talk. Grab a coffee. See where things go? I let the silence stretch, long enough for hope to rise behind her eyes. Then I shook my head. That man's gone. Her eyes dropped. She blinked a few times. So this is goodbye? I opened the door. Take care of yourself, Camilla. Without another word, she stepped out. 3 weeks later, Travis casually mentioned that Jordan was already dating someone new. From what I'd gathered, Camilla hadn't been coping well. Word got around that she'd started skipping work, distanced herself from most of our mutual friends, and wiped her fitness updates from her socials. I didn't reach out. Nearly a year had passed since she walked out, when a final message arrived. It was long-winded, raw, and full of remorse. She apologized, said she regretted not trying harder to save what we had, claimed Jordan had just been a temporary escape, that it hadn't truly meant anything, that I was the only person who ever made her feel secure. She ended with, I know I can't rewrite the past, but if there's any part of you that remembers who we used to be, I'd give anything just to talk. Just once. I read it twice. Then I responded, I forgive you, Camilla. Take care. That was all I had left to give. Over the course of that year, I'd been gently erasing her from my life, peeling back the habits, the assumptions, the way her presence had clung to small things, certain melodies, familiar scents, the rhythm of Saturday mornings. It was painful. But I got through it, not out of spite, not to make a statement. I did it because I needed peace. Now, someone new has entered my life. It's been unfolding slowly, quietly. No fireworks, no declarations. Just simple mornings, soft laughter, and a sense of steadiness I didn't realize I'd been craving. Her name is Helen. She doesn't obsess over her online image. She's not looking for applause. She listens, really listens. And when I speak, she doesn't just hear me. She understands. What's odd is, I once believed I needed a grand finale. Some scene where Camilla would beg to come back and I'd turn away, victorious and unmoved. But that's not how closure came. It arrived gently, tucked inside a quiet response. Just forgiveness, nothing more. One Saturday, Helen and I sat on the balcony, watching the sun dip below the skyline. My phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen. Just a work update. I put it down without a second thought. A year earlier, that buzz would have made my heart race. I'd have braced myself, wondering which version of Camilla I was about to face. But now I needed nothing from her. Because the truth is, not every ending is loud or cruel. Some loves just dissolve, softly, silently, when you finally stop giving yourself away to someone who only ever left you bleeding. And in that stillness, I found my way back to myself. Our story has come to an end. What do you think about this story? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed the way I tell stories, head over to my channel and check out my other videos. May the force be with you. See you soon, my friend.